To know where you're going, you must know where you've been. Every mile marks a moment in history. For 75 years, SHRM has led HR to drive change. We fight for women at work, shape policy and protections for all. We advocate for an inclusive workforce and endure together during unprecedented times. Because the beauty of the road is there's always something ahead. Join SHRM on our journey to drive change.
Our folks here have over 20 plus years experience. We provide two main areas: Express Requests, which is a compilation of all various topics. You can actually save a lot of time by asking one of our advisors to do some research for you, to bounce off an idea, to find out latest current employer practices.
We talk about every topic imaginable under the umbrella of human resources. Among the most popular would be the Family and Medical Leave Act, the exemption status, questions about the salary basis. The questions go on and on. We could talk about many more of them. And if you want to do that, don't forget one of the prime benefits of being a SHRM member, the HR Knowledge Center.
Hello and welcome to the third annual Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. I'm Guillermo Correa, Managing Director of SHRMLabs, SHRM's Workplace Innovation Lab and Venture Capital Arm. Welcome from sunny San Francisco. We're actually here, the SHRMLabs team, at the SHRM Tech event, which will start tomorrow. There's still a few spots left, so if anybody's interested in attending, please come join us at the Grand Hyatt San Francisco. Thank you for joining us once again. And also a special thanks to Indy SHRM as well as the Pittsburgh HR Association, our co-host for this segment of the competition. Also a special thanks to our partner, Real Vision VR Training and Wellness, powered by Penumbra. So as many of you know, SHRM's purpose is to elevate the HR profession, and our mission is to empower people and workplaces by advancing HR practices and maximizing human potential. To that end, we strongly believe that HR is best positioned to lead workplace innovation and organizational development. I think everyone listening here today will agree that HR needs to continue innovating in order to meet an organization's needs of tomorrow. And innovation is the key reason why SHRM launched this competition. The Better Workplaces Challenge Cup is a pitch competition to find the innovators that are solving the most critical workplace challenges. This year, we further expanded the competition to over 200 countries around the world, with competition rounds in the US, Europe, Latin America, Middle East, Africa, as well as Asia Pacific. We also added a member track for SHRM members to showcase how the people who know the workplace the best, HR, are innovating. This is the first segment of the startup track of the competition, which will consist of 10 first rounds from which the top company will advance to the semifinals. The winners of each semifinal will advance to the finals, which will be held at the SHRM Annual Conference and Exposition. And this year, we're back in Las Vegas from June 11th through the 14th. Today, you will hear from 5 very exciting startups. Each company will provide a 3-minute pitch, and afterwards, they will have a 3 Q&A session with our judges, or question and answer session. And the criteria that these startups will be judged on are as follows. Number 1, is this a business that will be able to grow to positively affect the lives and work of millions of employees? Number 2, is this a business that will create better workplaces where employers and employees thrive together? And then finally, number 3, is this a business that will provide value to SHRM members and their companies by helping HR professionals become more efficient and strategic? Once the pitches are completed, the judges will deliberate and choose the winner of this segment. Please note that this event qualifies for 2 PDCs towards your SHRM CP or SCP certification, and we will be providing the code at the end of the event. But for now, please help me in welcoming our judges for today. First up, we have Dan Corkum, Senior Manager of Total Rewards at Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. Hey, Dan, welcome to the stage. Next up, we have Evelise Vargas, Senior Associate at Seal Capital. Evelise, so great to be here with you. And then last but not least, Anna Burkhardt-Turner, Vice President of Products at Paycor. Anna, thank you so much for joining us. Judges, welcome to the stage, and let's go ahead and get started here. Please welcome our first participant, Cognata.
Hi, I'm Ryan Austin, the founder and CEO of Cognata, the world's first LearnOps platform that's shaking things up in the HR world. We know that HR and L&D teams are working hard to upskill and reskill employees and to keep business goals and objectives on track. But current systems for managing learning operations aren't purpose-built and just aren't cutting it. On average, L&D teams are using 3 to 8 disparate systems, which is messy and inefficient. Enter Cognata, a new platform to help L&D teams of all sizes operate with ease and success.
Cognata is your solution, and it'll change everything. Cognata is an operations platform built specifically for L&D teams of all sizes and structures. It exists to make your team more effective, using operational data that empower you to make decisions with confidence, prioritize work, and demonstrate value. With Cognata, you can end the chaos of managing decentralized processes and achieve your vision of an impactful, efficient L&D function. You'll build a strong understanding of business needs, get more visibility into future learning priorities, and a better view of capacity. You can do this, and you can do it with Cognata.
We saw the need for a purpose-built L&D operating system, and that is why we created this new market opportunity to bridge the gap in the current ecosystem. And the best part, we're already making waves with over 100 enterprises relying on Cognata to power their learning operations. And with a $4.5 billion market opportunity globally, the sky's the limit. In 2023, we're going all in with investments towards building the LearnOps ecosystem, including a brand new community, a trusted partner network, and a free version of our software to reach even more HR and L&D teams. Our team of experts, SaaS pros, and entrepreneurs have been working hard to kick off this exciting new venture, and we're ready to bring the LearnOps category to HR and L&D teams across the globe. We look forward to answering any of your questions. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the presentation, Ryan, and welcome to the stage. For this round, Dan, do you want to go ahead and kick off the Q&A session?
Sure thing. That was a very interesting segment. Thank you very much. I guess kind of the first question I have is, how does one go about determining the $4.5 billion market size of the potential that is available?
Thanks for asking. It was really hard to find the market size for this company since LearnOps is a brand new category. But we worked with a few industry analysts like Brandon Hall and others to determine it. Long story short, within our ideal customer profile, the market's actually bigger than that. But for our ideal customer profile, there's about 11 million learning and development professionals on LinkedIn. On average, there's about 8 L&D people per L&D team. And that is what represents the 180,000 learning and development teams globally that fit our ideal customer profile. To date, our average contract value is about $25,000. It's starting to become higher than that, actually, and that represents the $4.5 billion market size.
Okay, thank you.
Evelise, you want to grab the second question?
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Ryan. It's great to meet you. Just a question around the wedge that you've established with your employers. So kind of what are the customers telling you about why they're going with you as opposed to incumbents or other learning management systems?
Sure. So we actually don't compete with a learning management system whatsoever. In fact, our ideal customer profile is for companies that already have a learning management system. So as you can imagine, when a company gets a learning management system, they're able to start scaling content creation and content delivery and tracking that learning for the learners. And that's really what powers requests. So all these business functions from across the business, legal, HR, procurement, product, sales, marketing, they all start coming to learning functions saying, how do we get training? How can you help us deliver training in the learning management system? And Cognota, its first feature in the platform, manages these requests from across the business partnerships. So we focus on the operating layer of learning and development, where the LMS focuses on the delivery layer. And so we're quite two different platforms altogether, where we don't compete with each other. Our competition is just the status quo, generic project management tools that are like squeezing a square and pushing a square into a round hole. They're not purpose-built operating systems for the problem that we solve, and that's the opportunity for Cognota and LearnOps within the industry.
Okay. And last question over to you, Anna.
Hey, Ryan, good morning. Thanks for the presentation. I love hearing about how LearnOps is showing up in the L&D space. I was curious, when you talked about the roadmap and plans for the future, you talked about expanding partnerships. I was curious about what kind of data your customers need to bring into your LearningOps platform and what types of partnerships you have in mind.
Absolutely. We've been focusing on building out a partner ecosystem since last year, where learning management systems naturally are a really strong partner for us. If you follow us on LinkedIn, you would have just seen a partnership announcement with Skooks, which is one of many that we're about to announce, which is really, really exciting for us. So we tend to bring in a lot of the learning measurement elements into LearnOps to help tell the full picture. Almost a curse word from back in the day for learning and development teams has been this concept of ROI. And we look at it differently, where if you're a business function spending money and time with the business, it's really important not only to show learner impact, but ROI as well. And so we're helping to combine the data from these systems that learning teams and HR teams use with LearnOps data sets to tell that full story. And we're really excited about that.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Ryan. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more information about Cognota?
Please visit us at www.cognota.com, spelled COGNOTA, nota.com, and very soon, learnops.com for the world's first LearnOps community of practice.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ryan. All right, let's bring up our second participant, HR Geckos.
I'd rather walk on broken glass than go to human resources for any of my problems. This was an actual statement on an employee survey. Human resources practitioners and employees agree HR is broken today. This room full of paper is real. We have disparate and disjointed HR systems that don't talk to each other, and our workforce expects everything at the click of a button. Tough economic and labor environments mean HR teams have to do more with less. In the midst of all this, HR teams are struggling with repetitive administrative and paper-driven manual processes that are taking up more than 80% of their time, leaving little time to focus on critical business needs like recruitment and retention and employee experience for our hybrid workforce. We need to be digital now. Hi, I'm Jay Polaki, founder and chief gecko at HR Geckos, and I've been an HR practitioner for over 20 years. I can talk for hours about what is broken in our people function today, but instead, I'm going to show you how to transform HR from being a paper-first function to a people-first function. Meet HR Geckos. We believe HR should be as agile as a gecko. Designed for the new world of work, we digitize key HR processes, unify all HR systems, and are the only help desk made for HR by HR. Our data-driven platform allows for easy automation of workflows, responsive employee communications, and insightful HR analytics. Our smart digital assistant, we call it HR GeckoBot, connects employees to the information they need fast and integrates with all your existing HR technology. Our key differentiators are our AI chatbot, which improves process efficiencies and reduces the time to resolution of employee requests by over 75%. Our workflow automations, which reduce HR's workload by over 45%, making HR simple and user-friendly. And our custom hub for the HR tech stack, which provides a one-stop shop with single sign-on, connecting all HR services, data sources, and tasks. We constantly map our competitors in different market segments and geographic regions and how they serve the hybrid workforce. Our acceptance and participation in several world-class accelerators and incubators has led to our product launch in January of 2023. And the business opportunity is huge within our growing obtainable market. Our approach to growth is customer-led and is fueled by our subscription-based revenue model and our product roadmap. With our current customers and additional firm commitments this month, we are on track to grow to 10,000 users this year. Our founding team is a unique combination of HR expert and engineering genius, and we are supported by a robust ecosystem of engineers, business developers, and advisors. I invite you to adopt HR Geckos to transform your people operations. Let's connect. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Jay, thank you for that presentation and welcome to the stage. For this round, Evelise, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for that, Jay. A similar question here. It might be the same all around. Just curious about what your customers are telling you in terms of feedback. And also, I think, given the market and kind of what we've seen in terms of lots of headwinds with hiring, kind of what is prompting folks to spend in this area?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Guillermo, and everyone here. I'm so happy to be here and talk about how Geckos is making HR agile in today's workplace. To answer your question, Evelise, operational excellence in HR has to be first and foremost on our agenda today. Given the volatile and, really upended workplaces of today's world of work, we really need to make sure that HR operations is front and center on every HR leaders and business leaders agenda. And so our customers have been telling us how difficult it has been to onboard employees, especially during the pandemic and even today, because of the nature of, the paperwork that is involved in bringing on board an employee and the in-person interaction that needs to happen with employees. But what we've tried to do is digitize that part, right? So we built a new module based on customer discovery and the information we've gathered through our research from our customers, that onboarding was such a big pain point during the whole pandemic. And so there are huge gaps in communication and operations when it comes to onboarding new hires, and then bringing them into the loop with being a full-time employee, with being fully engaged with their team and the company and the culture. There's so many pieces that we can digitize so that we can really focus on the human during this entire employee journey in an organization. And so HR Geckos has really been instrumental for most of our clients in bringing that operational excellence to the fore.
Anna, next question over to you.
Hey, Jay, good morning. Thanks for your presentation. I was curious in thinking about the areas that y'all play. It's a little bit of kind of HR service delivery, the digital assistant you all talked about. I was curious of what the biggest differentiators are from either others in the space in those areas, or even we've seen in HR IT starting to come to the table. And if there's an IT solution, them trying to help with that operational cadence. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anna, and nice to meet you. So when we envisioned HR Geckos, we really wanted it to be the connector. Right from day zero, from when a candidate accepts a job offer through their employee journey within the organization and beyond, as an alumni, as a retiree of the organization, to remain engaged with the organization. As we are seeing today, there's a lot of boomerang employees and a lot of retirees returning to the workforce. So how do you keep all of that engaged and keep our talent pipelines always full? So those are some of the things that we've been answering. And so our key differentiators are definitely our AI chatbot, which saves a lot of time and helps you focus on mission critical business needs, as you mentioned, like recruitment and retention of the workforce and building a culture of innovation and growth. And the workflow automations that we've built into make it seamless. I believe, as an HR practitioner, that today HR services should be available at the click of a button, just like everything outside of the world of work, to our employees. And so we created this digital assistant to be able to provide that kind of consumer-grade experience to our employees within our workplace. The custom hub that we provide through HR Geckos is able to integrate with all of the HR tech stack. So it makes it seamless for employees to engage with the service delivery piece that is so crucial, right? In the moments that matter to employees, life moments happen at the drop of a hat. And so they should be able to get resolution to those at the click of a button.
And last question, over to you, Dan.
Thank you so much, Jay, for the wonderful presentation. My question today is I wanted to, take kind of a moment to think a little bit externally and say, and kind of think, it really helped me understand, who are your primary competitors and, what advantages might you have over them in the marketplace? And really, what would differentiate you from them?
So we constantly map our competitor landscape, right? Because as you know, there's so much HR technology coming out from the woodwork, if I can say that today. Our primary competitors, as I showed in my competitive landscape map, some of them are in the enterprise landscape, in the enterprise segment, as ServiceNow is. And then there's Lena.ai, which operates both in the enterprise as well as mid-market segment. And then there are a few players who are kind of offering complementary services and a little piece of what we offer, but they do get a competitive advantage because they've been in the market longer than us, like Gusto, which offers a lot of payroll services, but also has a little piece of the HR operations included in their services. Not the whole, shebang that we have to offer, but a little piece. And so payroll usually is something very important to smaller businesses as they're starting up, and that's where Gusto is taking that segment. So we've been constantly mapping this and trying to work with complementary existing HR systems out there in the market and see how we can complement the services they offer, because we are offering a much more comprehensive functionality in these particular areas of HR operations.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Jay. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about HR Geckos?
Well, thank you, Guillermo. And the first thing that you can do, audience, is by going on our website, www.hrgeckos.com. We've also shared some links in the chat here, so you can get some white papers on how to simplify HR operations, as well as request a tour under the hood. And we are happy to do that if you'd like.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for being here. All right, next up, we have our third participant, Chessie.
Hey everybody, my name is Toby Igbuna. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chessie. Our vision at Chessie is to create the most inclusive workplaces on earth. So for anyone that's worked with employee resource groups in the past, you know how much of a pain it is. Some stuff membership is in Slack, events are on napkins, budgets are on spreadsheets. It's a big mess. And worst of all, there's no data to show for any of it. That's where we come in. Introducing Chessie. We centralize ERGs to make it extremely easy for employees to participate. We give DEI managers all the tools that they need to take their ERGs from intent to impact with data, with tracking for membership, events, engagement, and budget. Let's go through how it works. So one, there is a portal. Every Chessie customer gets their own dedicated URL. So that might be Airtable, one of our customers, airtable.chessie.app. Any employee can log in, click through the different employee resource groups, find one or multiple that they want to join. At that point, they fill out a quick form, first identifying themselves as an ally or in-group member. They respond to a couple of prompt questions, and then boom, they're a member. They're added to any upcoming events, they're added to the distribution list, and they get a nice customized welcome email officially adding them to the group. And three, most importantly, for the admins, the ERG leads, the DEI managers, the chief people officers, they have access to all of the important metrics and data about the employee resource groups. Who's a member of our Black Employee Resource Group from an engineering team in Seattle, right? How many people attended our last Women's History Month event, etc. We automate and streamline that entire data capture process. So when we launched our company in June 2020, this was the whole idea, ERG management, helping companies streamline operations here. But we realized that there was a much bigger opportunity. I'll tell the story of Whoop and Pixar. Whoop is a fitness wearables company. They actually do testing with their Black ERG to make sure that the product works as well on darker skin as it does on lighter skin. Pixar, obviously we've heard of them, with their movie Soul, they actually had their Black ERG create and review the marketing content for that movie to make sure that it was inclusive, that haircuts were right, etc. And this is the big picture. We want to help companies connect their ERGs to every function of their business. So all the business units can tap into those employee resource groups and achieve the business goals that they've already set out for themselves. That's what we're working towards, and that's the big vision. A note on our traction, so we have 12 customers so far with just over 165K in annual revenue. And a quick note on a case study from Chegg, our very first customer. They have had, in the first year of operations, they had a 50+% sign-up rate. They held over 60 events. The net promoter score for those events was a 90+, and they got a $32,000 cost savings from not having to hire a dedicated ERG program manager. Lastly is our team. We are a team of people focused on solving this problem, and that is the reason we're going to win. My sister Dumebi and I launched Chessie together in June 2020. We are first-gen Nigerian immigrants. We are of the Igbo tribe, so Chessie is actually the Igbo word for reflect. We just want to help companies build workplaces that we ourselves will want to work in. So if you're interested in building a more inclusive future of work, hit me up. My email is toby@chessie.co. Thanks.
Hey, Toby, thanks for your presentation and welcome to the stage. For this round, Anna, do you want to go ahead and get us started?
Sure. Thank you, Toby. That was an awesome presentation. I was curious in listening just about the go-to-market strategy from a pricing perspective. Is it per ERG, per event, per number of HR people, per employees at a company? How do you guys go to market from kind of a macro standpoint?
Yeah, we go to market. We charge based on ERG participation or ERG membership. So, for example, if you're a company of 1,000 people, generally speaking, you only have about 20% participation in your ERGs. So somewhere around 200 or 250 seats. Our base package is 250 seats for $15K. Most companies come in around that number, or 500 seats for $20K. But we were pretty intentional about this because at first we were charging, that 1,000 person company would pay for 1,000 seats. And we realized very quickly that got expensive very, very fast. And we've spoken to a lot of HR practitioners, chief people officers that have said they hate that per headcount pricing because they end up paying for something that not everybody uses. So this gives us an opportunity to, come in at a reasonable number, but also grow with our customers, right? Because if Chesy does its job, you should expand. The value of that contract should expand. We should get to 400 or 500 people in that 1,000 person company participating and joining employee resource groups.
Okay. Dan, next question over to you.
Thank you, Toby. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the long-term vision and, when you kind of take a step back and you look at the business, what is your goal to capture what X% of market and how do you view yourself getting there?
Yeah. Our goal is really to help companies rethink what's possible with their employee resource groups, right? We see them as a massively overlooked business opportunity. I gave the examples during the presentation of Whoop and Pixar and these are just two examples out of many for companies that are using their ERGs as true business resources, right? They're introducing them to their marketing teams so they can run more inclusive campaigns. They're introducing them to their sales teams so they can actually refer a new pipeline to those teams, right? We want to help companies connect the dots between their ERGs and some of those business units. Now, how we get there is the first thing in terms of a product. The big piece that we want to launch this year is actually something called projects. So a lot of the programming that happens for employee resource groups now is based on events, right? Like a happy hour, a networking event, something like that. And all those are fine. Like who on this call doesn't like a happy hour, right? But we want to help companies actually do programs that aren't necessarily those one-off asynchronous things, right? Like something as simple as a donation drive or a learning series or something like that. That will be the first introduction for projects. But as we build on top of those, then we'll help companies start to do projects, help ERGs start to do projects with other units within HR, right? So a recruiting campaign with the recruiting team or a learning series with the L&D team or like a policy review with the benefits team or something like that. And then the next expansion is when we start to help companies introduce their ERGs to their marketing teams, their product teams, their sales teams. So yeah, Dan, that's how we're kind of thinking about this. That's the big picture.
All right. And last question over to you, Elise.
Thanks so much, Toby. Just question on data and the proliferation and or projected growth of ERGs. I know they're like fairly novel or fairly novel, I think, in expanding. So just kind of curious about that.
Yeah. I couldn't get to this on the slide with only 3 minutes there, but the three numbers you need to know around this. So one is 90% of Fortune, this is in 2017, 90% of Fortune 500 companies had employee resource groups. Generally speaking, the bigger company is, the more likely they are to have ERGs. And I would anticipate that number being closer to 95 and 96% now. The second number is 12.5. So spending on employee resource groups is growing 12.5% a year. And that there are the last number is 57,000. So that's the number that we estimate, the number of companies that we estimate have employee resource groups. Right. And that number is also growing. So that's the quantitative side of it. Qualitatively, though, we've heard multiple anecdotes about how companies are, diverging budget from L&D or from other departments into ERGs because they see it as not a DEI program necessarily, or not just the DEI program, but as a true employee engagement opportunity. And we've also heard about companies trying to help employees track their contributions to DEI at a company-wide level, and ERGs participating in events, being a lead, promoting a project, something like that. Those can help those companies give their employees a way to actually contribute to the company's DEI efforts. So there's a little bit of qualitative and quantitative evidence there for you, at least. But yeah, we believe that ERGs are here to stay.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Toby. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more about Chesy?
Yeah. So we are www.chesy.co, CHEZIE. You can email me as well at toby@chesy.co. Happy to talk to anyone that's interested in learning more.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, let's bring up our fourth participant, Illuminus.
These days, it feels like every headline in a newspaper is an HR problem to figure out. HR is changing rapidly and continuously, and it's dizzying. At most organizations, HR is the largest spend, with nearly $5 trillion being spent in the US alone this year. Most HR teams are using 16 different systems that aren't talking to each other, and that's creating more noise than understanding. At most of these organizations, HR teams don't understand what's actually driving results. And this is why 98% of HR leaders admit to being burned out, and yet you're being asked to do even more with less. Hi, I'm Noelle London, and I'm the founder and CEO of Illuminus, like Illuminate Us. We help HR leaders adapt and respond to the changing needs of their people through data. We do this by bringing together all of your HR-related data into one place so that we map out the employee journey and help you to understand where to invest your efforts. Remember that timeline I showed you? Well, these are all Illuminus use cases. For example, which benefits programs are actually likely to help retain Black women managers? You see, we're leveraging your data to become your people strategy coach. We've built the easiest to implement people analytics solution that measures what's working internally, and based on learnings across organizations, we're providing recommendations. With Illuminus, we're pulling on the power of the network. You can finally move beyond complex internal systems that are 10x more expensive and take 10x the amount of time, when at the end of the day, they're backwards looking. Because it's time that we finally move forwards and begin to understand what works. Today, the HR technology market is set to be $40 billion globally. We work with companies over 500 employees through annual SaaS licenses and with HR consultants. See what our first paying customers are saying about how we give them the data they need at their fingertips and the actionable insights to manage their strategies. We've 10x'd our revenue in the last 6 months. We have a diverse team of experts in HR, enterprise, and DEI technology. For over a decade, I've worked with hundreds of high-growth startups and most recently led Accenture Ventures in enterprise startup sales. Illuminus is quickly becoming the leading platform for organizations to measure the impact of their investments in people. And together, let's light the way to a measurably better workplace. So join us.
All right. Thank you for that presentation, Noelle, and welcome to the stage. For this round, Dan, do you want to go ahead and kick off our question and answer session?
Sure thing. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Noelle. Fabulous presentation. I had wanted to, kind of take a step back. I'm always interested in, what, on the revenue and the financial side of things. So I wanted to hear, well, how much of your margin do you think is from upsells? How do you see that changing over time? And, kind of what is the, the longer term vision, if you would, and what in the prospecting, if you would, on the financial side of the business?
Yeah, great question, Dan. And thanks for that. So with Illuminus, we have been in market and selling our beta product since January of 2022. And so with our early pricing and with our revenue to date, what our early customers are telling us is we initially launched with specific niche use cases for big HR questions that they were hoping to solve. And we did that in solving those niche use cases by really being that data aggregation and normalization tool that allowed them to bring together all of their HR related data into one place to help them to answer questions. So what we've been able to accomplish in just 1 year and with our beta pricing is getting to 6 figures in revenue as a SaaS product, which is we're really happy and proud of that with our team. But what we see ourselves in our revenue increasing over time is, as I mentioned, we started in particular HR use cases. And as we expand our HR use cases,
and really become that people strategy coach and that recommendation engine for HR strategy to people leaders, we absolutely see our ACVs increasing over time, and beginning to, even in some cases, replace certain HR tools because we really provide that single source of reporting to our customers. We've started within the middle market space, and we have enterprise customers as well. So our ACVs to date are about $25,000, but seeing that revenue increase at the middle market level in the next 5 years to over 60K in revenue and well over 6 figures within our enterprise customers as well.
All right. Next question over to Evelise.
Thanks so much, Noel. Great presentation. Just if you wouldn't mind kind of talking about some of your case studies more and just anywhere the data led to quantifiable impact for some of your customers.
Yeah, great question, Evelise. So I'll tell you a little bit about one of our use cases with a telco customer that we work with. In this particular case, we were actually able to work with a head of a department who had a well-intentioned program around employee engagement. And what they were seeing is that employee engagement looked like it was increasing quarter over quarter, but it felt like something wasn't exactly right there. And so what we were able to do is actually bring that qualitative data together with their HR data to help them to understand what was behind the answers within those engagement results. And what we found is that it looked like employee engagement was increasing, but it was actually a correlation to a decrease in representation that we were able to see when we were bringing together that HR data. What that allowed us to help our customer to do is to understand, because they had hired one representative group in at the managerial level, that was kind of hiding some of the opportunity areas with certain representative groups. So by us tying that data together from across different systems, we were able to understand where there were opportunity areas across race and ethnicity, gender levels, and different departments, so that we could allow that customer to really begin to understand where to have focus areas. Now, by us bringing them the focus areas, that allowed us to start testing initiatives with them on understanding, if we test initiatives, can we actually start to see quantifiable results with some of those groups? And so our team and our data science team, what we're building towards is helping to start showing the quantifiable results of which of those initiatives are actually driving the most results. And then when we can start learning alongside these customers around which of initiatives are driving those results, then we're bringing in those actionable recommendations across organizations to understand, hey, what's actually working, so that if you have a small amount of funding or you have a certain amount of funding for next year, you actually know that where you're investing your efforts are the areas that are most likely to drive impact.
All right. And Anna, last question over to you.
Hey, Noel. So in thinking about the different systems, I think you shared in your presentation, right? An HR team may have 16 different systems they're working with. When y'all bring a new customer on, where do you focus first? Is it certain data or certain things you coach them that would be good for us to include in this tool? And then also kind of first focus areas. Is there any templating or things that you do in the implementation process to really help that customer see the benefits?
Yeah, great question. So as you mentioned, I mean, 16, and sometimes we're hearing even more within organizations. Typically, the first place that we'll start is we bring together 4 primary systems, and then we can add on system data on top of that. The first 4 places that we typically start are with an HRIS system or an HCM system. So, that system of record data. We pull that together with your talent acquisition data, your employee engagement survey data, and your performance data. Those are typically the 4 most common systems that we're going to see within organizations. And so that's a really good place to start to give you that baseline understanding of, hey, what's happening across this organization? And then as there are new things that are happening, and I know you're with Paycor, so, as a customer is thinking about things like pay equity or and regulatory changes around pay equity, then it's like we can bring in additional system data on top of that to really get to the bottom of some of these big questions. What we'll what we'll typically do is really think about that entire employee journey. So when we think about the entire employee journey, the data points that we'll pull together when we map out that employee journey is understanding who's getting sourced, who's coming into the organization, who is actually getting hired, who is leaving the organization and why, who's getting promoted and who's not getting promoted, and then how does sense of belonging change. So when we can create, and we don't touch PII within Illuminus, we're looking at trends across different groups of individuals. So when we're able to pull together those primary data points, that really allows our customers to understand the key levers that they have in order to meet their upcoming people goals.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for that, Noelle. And while the judges write down some of their notes, how can attendees find out more information about Illuminus?
Yeah, so thanks so much for having us. We'd love to chat with you and learn more about your goals and how we can help you this year. You can find us at www.illuminus, like illuminate us. It's ILLOOMINUS.com. On our website, we also have some resources in case you're wondering about how to better achieve your people goals this year. And also we have a community of leading people leaders across organizations that we get together to share best practices and to support each other. So you can join that on our website as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, let's bring up our fifth participant, Happily.
Hi, I'm Mary Webb, founding team member and head of customer success here at Happily, a digital wellness benefit that helps teams gather in healthy ways. I'm so grateful to SHRM for giving me the opportunity to share our mission with you today. First, why was Happily created? Happily's founder and CEO, Caitlin Easler, was partner at a global consulting firm that had lots of benefits, but none of them were moving the needle on an everyday basis. So we set out to create something that would support the intersection of work and life. So meet Happily. There's a problem in today's distributed workplace. Employees are struggling to connect with their peers, managers, and companies. The lack of engagement leads to decreased productivity, burnout, and attrition, ultimately costing companies time and money. Happily's mission is to help teams gather in healthy ways that fuel connection, balance, and belonging. With innovative scheduling tools and curated activities, the Happily app powers connection and balance by helping teams gather in healthy ways. Shared experiences allow personal connections to be formed that create team cohesion, improved communication, and collaboration. This leads to better engagement and retention, higher quality work, and increased output. With Happily, employees can access more than 15,000 curated wellness and give-back activities based on where they live and work, and create a healthy local meetup in seconds. This could be a full day off-site with a hike or kayak adventure to celebrate a team business win, a volunteering event for cross-functional teams, or a manager simply using Happily to turn one-on-ones into walking meetings. Ultimately, removing the burden of researching, scheduling, and event coordination off of HR leaders' plates. Happily keeps track of gather event attendees, RSVPs, and also anonymizes and aggregates app usage, participation rates, and employee interest that can be used to track engagement, CSR commitments, brand reputation, and more. Other tools claim to improve engagement, but the lift required by HR resources doesn't always work. Happily checks all the boxes a distributed workforce needs to get connected and find balance easily. What truly sets us apart is our curation and proprietary technology coupled with human touch. All content on Happily is sourced through our team of contributing writers. Personalized recommendations are delivered based on interests, home and office location, and corporate-aligned give-back causes. We're grateful and humbled by the rave reviews from both HR leaders and employees from a few of our big-name companies in the Washington, D.C. area and across the country. Soon, our app will integrate with key workplace tools and incorporate custom recommendations like mental health offerings through insurance plans, unlocking more opportunities for HR leaders to make data-based decisions around engagement and benefits. Our leadership team intimately knows the HR landscape and the tools that can support engagement and retention. And we have a vast network of advisors helping us to make our solution the best. Distributed and asynchronous teams are here to stay, but disengagement doesn't have to. With Happily, you get a people-first benefit that supports connection and balance with just a few clicks. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been such a gift for me to be able to share Happily with you today.
All right, thanks for that presentation, Caitlin, and welcome to
Thank
the
you.
stage.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, our pleasure. For this round, Evelise, you want to go ahead and kick off the Q&A session?
For sure, and thank you so much, Caitlin.
Thank you, Evelise.
Yeah, just a question around quantifiable impact case studies maybe you'd be able to share with us about how you've improved company culture and
Absolutely. So Navy Federal is one of our biggest customers. They have about 25,000 employees. They're an incredible partner. For them, they generally see 20 to 30% opt-in with benefits. With Happily, they're closer to 40%. We measure things like usage, how many times people are gathering. We're measuring turnover in the population that opts into Happily versus the population that doesn't, and they're seeing some incredible results. So we're in year 2 of their contract, and we're starting to collect more data, but that's where we are right now.
Okay. Anna, next question over to you.
Hi, Anna.
Hey, Caitlin. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how many customers you guys have right now and really target market that you're focused on.
Yeah, so we think about target market. I mean, we defined our addressable market as it's about $52 billion. So companies in the US with over 1,000 employees. We've actually realized that there's a really good opportunity in the mid-market as well. So we've started testing that out this quarter, and that's been really interesting. So companies actually with over 250 employees have been great partner to us as well. And the biggest reason for that change is that we assumed that companies would have 20 to 30% opt-in rate, and we needed to have about 250 people on the platform for it to really make sense and for the connection piece to work well so people could gather in healthy ways. But what we found is that companies are now making it more of a mandatory benefit. And so the size of company doesn't matter as much, because as long as you have your team members on the platform, that's when it starts to work really well. And I feel like you asked another part of the question and maybe I've diverted. Was there another piece?
Number of customers so far.
Number of customers. So we have 10 paying customers so far, and we've got about 15 pilots live.
Okay. And awesome. Last question over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Caitlin. I have a question. In the presentation, you spoke a little bit about how the soon to come, if you would, is going to be integration with other employee benefit providers. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about how that element of work is going, and how what are the hurdles, and working with some of those third-party providers. Coming, I'm in the total reward space, and now employees, would probably love something like this, and just trying to think about how has it been from your perspective and those roadblocks in terms of kind of putting it all together, if you would.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So for us, there are a couple different phases to it. One is that, Happily can be used for people by themselves, with their families, or with their colleagues. And so we really committed to wellness through volunteerism, with the idea that would improve mental health and healthy lifestyle. What we found is that there's a missing element potentially with more structured exercise and with meditation. And that's kind of where we started down this path of integrations. And so Korn Ferry, as an example, they want to use Happily, but what they want to do is embed some of these other tools that they already are paying for, and use Happily as the hub, so that people use Happily and they also use some of these other tools to drive utilization there. In terms of complexity, we have it scoped for about a 6-week project to implement with the HRIS systems, and it's actually just about a 3-week project for us to get ready for those other integrations.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Caitlin. And while the judges write down some notes, how can attendees find out more information about Happily?
Thank you so much, Guillermo. So Happily is HAPPYLY. It's the words happy and family combined. And it's www.happily.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Always love to connect. And then we do a podcast where we feature amazing HR leaders that are doing amazing things in wellness. One, it's a great branding opportunity for whoever we get to interview, which we love that opportunity. And then the other is to just inspire other HR leaders to step up to do the same thing. So if anybody's interested, we'd love to discuss featuring you as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. And that actually completes the round of pitches. So a big round of applause to all these great startups that participated. The judges are now going to deliberate on the pitches you just saw. And while the judges deliberate, we hope you enjoy some of the great information we're going to be sharing with you. We're going to be back shortly with the decision in about 10 minutes or so. Judges, I will see you at the Zoom link. See you there in a second. All right. We'll be back. Thank you.
Throughout history, the world's hardest challenges have inspired the most innovative solutions. Remote work, skill shortages, a growing mental health crisis, and the impact of the Great Resignation were just a few of the challenges disrupting the workplace and driving new heights of innovation. That's why in 2021, SHRMLabs introduced the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup to find and elevate the next generations of workplace technology and innovations that will help drive progress and make our world a better place. In 2022, our competition went bigger than ever before. We went global, featuring over 150 workplace solutions from all around the world. Through 10 initial pitch segments across North America, Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific, panels of expert judges chose 4 finalists to proceed to the finals pitch event at SHRM's 2022 annual conference, the world's largest gathering of HR leaders and executives. There, the final 4 startups pitched their innovations live in front of tens of hundreds of SHRM members and a panel of celebrity judges. One winner was crowned the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup champion and rewarded with a $50,000 cash prize. By bringing together the best and brightest minds in the field, this competition, powered by SHRM, is helping to pave the way for a brighter, more sustainable future for work. Visit us at betterworkplaceschallengecup.com to learn more.
To know where you're going, you must know where you've been. Every mile marks a moment in history. For 75 years, SHRM has led HR to drive change. We fight for women at work, shape policy and protections for all. We advocate for an inclusive workforce and endure together during unprecedented times. Because the beauty of the road is there's always something ahead. Join SHRM on our journey to drive change.
Our folks here have over 20 plus years experience. We provide 2 main areas: Express Requests, which is a compilation of all various topics. You can actually save a lot of time by asking one of our advisors to do some research for you, to bounce off an idea, to find out latest current employer practices.
We talk about every topic imaginable under the umbrella of human resources. Among the most popular would be the Family and Medical Leave Act, the exemption status, questions about the salary basis. The questions go on and on. We could talk about many more of them. And if you want to do that, don't forget one of the prime benefits of being a SHRM member, the HR Knowledge Center.
Throughout history, the world's hardest challenges have inspired the most innovative solutions. Remote work, skill shortages, a growing mental health crisis, and the impact of the Great Resignation were just a few of the challenges disrupting the workplace and driving new heights of innovation. That's why in 2021, SHRMLabs introduced the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup to find and elevate the next generations of workplace technology and innovations that will help drive progress and make our world a better place. In 2022, our competition went bigger than ever before. We went global, featuring over 150 workplace solutions from all around the world. Through 10 initial pitch segments across North America, Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific, panels of expert judges chose 4 finalists to proceed to the finals pitch event at SHRM's 2022 annual conference, the world's largest gathering of HR leaders and executives. There, the final 4 startups pitched their innovations live in front of tens of hundreds of SHRM members and a panel of celebrity judges. One winner was crowned the Better Workplaces Challenge Cup champion and rewarded with a $50,000 cash prize. By bringing together the best and brightest minds in the field, this competition powered by SHRM is helping to pave the way for a brighter, more sustainable future for work. Visit us at betterworkplaceschallengecup.com to learn more.
Our folks here have over 20 plus years experience. We provide 2 main areas: Express Requests, which is a compilation of all various topics. You can actually save a lot of time by asking one of our advisors to do some research for you, to bounce off an idea, to find out latest current employer practices.
We talk about every topic imaginable under the umbrella of human resources. Among the most popular would be the Family and Medical Leave Act, the exemption status, questions about the salary basis. The questions go on and on. We could talk about many more of them. And if you want to do that, don't forget one of the prime benefits of being a SHRM member, the HR Knowledge Center.
To know where you're going, you must know where you've been. Every mile marks a moment in history. For 75 years, SHRM has led HR to drive change. We fight for women at work, shape policy and protections for all. We advocate for an inclusive workforce and endure together during unprecedented times. Because the beauty of the road is there's always something ahead. Join SHRM on our journey to drive change.
All right, and we are back live with a decision here. All right, so once again, let's give all these companies a great, or all these great companies a hand that competed today. As mentioned at the beginning, one of them will be moving forward and competing in the semifinals of the 2023 Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. So let's get right to it. The winner of this segment is Chessie. So major congratulations to Chessie, and we look forward to your participation in the semifinals. Judges, any last words you'd like to say to our winner? Dan, starting off with you first.
Congratulations to Chezzy and everybody. It was a very, very difficult decision. We had to talk it over for a while, but we were really, at least I was really impressed. I think my co-judges were impressed as well. Very, very impressed with everything that we saw today. And congratulations to Chezzy. Best of luck at the conference in June to Chezzy. And I know I'll personally be there, and I'll be there and looking forward to the competition. Thank you.
Fantastic. Eva-Louise?
Yes, congratulations to the Chezzy team. As Dan said, agreed. It was a difficult decision for us all, and genuinely very impressed with everyone who presented today. So look forward to following on the journey, and also maybe following up with some of you.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Anna, last question or last comment over to you.
Congratulations to the Chezzy team, and just wanted to say thanks for all of the pitches. We talked about during our deliberation just how amazing it was to see this innovation on all of these key problem spaces that we face in HR, and to really see new opportunities for the future. So thank you all for all of your work and all that you are doing for the world of work.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, judges and participants, and thank you for attending. Please note that, as we said at the beginning, this event qualifies for 2 PDCs towards your SHRM CP or SCP certification, and the code to use for that is 23-XT5PV, and we're going to be displaying that in a second. Next up is going to be our 4th first round segment on Tuesday, March 14th. As already mentioned, the top company from each first round will move to the semifinals, and the winners of the 2 semifinals will move to the finals at the SHRM Annual Conference and Exposition, which, as mentioned, it's being held June 11th through the 14th in Las Vegas. So please visit betterworkplaceschallengecup.com to stay informed and register to attend our future events. We hope you can join us. Have a great day, everyone. See you soon.